Let's look at a particular cognitive ability and examine some of the areas of the brain that are involved. Okay? So if we talk about something like language, okay, language is going to involve either auditory information, somebody speaking and having that information arrive in your ears in the form of sound waves, but it can also involve visual information, signing, right, which will arrive through your eyes. So you can have information arriving, in primary auditory cortex, right, which is the first sort of cortical, processing region for auditory information. It can also arrive, into the occipital lobe, right, and be sent forward. So you have to have a sensory input, either hearing or vision, right? And then there's a region known as Wernicke's area, which is located, in the temporal lobe, which also is linked to a number of regions, around the temporal lobe that allow for, naming or recognizing, what objects you're actually talking about, right? And then there's information flow to the frontal lobe, right, which is going to be important for motor activity and planning of what you're going to say in response to this information, right? And then there's the precentral gyrus, that primary motor cortex, which is going to literally, coordinate the output of the larynx and pharynx to allow you to generate speech. So cortical areas are, these distributed cortical areas are going to be engaged, in any sort of complex cognitive ability. You're not going to find, for example, language located in a single region of the brain, right? It's going to be distributed across the cortex. But these cortical areas, these neurons in these different regions, are going to be linked by sort of long-range connections, right? And there are going to be synaptic gaps between, the cells in one region and, the neurons, the postsynaptic neurons in the next. These are all going to be locations for drugs to act.